Hi everyone, my name is Simon Meshevich from Optimized Accountants, and in this video I want to talk about UK property investing and why it is still a great idea. There is so much media on YouTube, on media such as newspapers, radio, you name it. It's everywhere. And what I'm getting at here, it's the end of the world according to most people. And I think it's just the fuel on the fire that makes it more exponential, that people more talk about this thing of the landlord being dead, property investing is dead. And I just want to ask you to take some time to reflect just with me for a second and just look at the reality of the situation. Yes, I know there's some legal changes, there are tax changes, there are macroeconomics changes, there's microeconomic changes that all affect everything. It's not just property. And what I want to do really is just to go back and say, hey, it's not as bad as what people are making out. And what I've done here, I want to make a comparison because it all started going wrong. And it does say here, property investing, a disaster if you act like a dinosaur. There's many businesses that have failed, many businesses that have thrived despite the situation that they face themselves in. Amazon being great one choice. When COVID hit, they did really well. Why? Well, they had a business model, they had a product to serve those type of people that needed it the most. And some companies like Woolworths went bust. Why? Well, they really had a sucky business model, if you ask me. It was in retail. They really never adapted to change. They just stayed the status quo. There are many other companies like that that's still surviving. I'm not sure why or how. But anyway, property is the same. You as a landlord, you will either thrive or you will die. Now, I don't mean you personally. I mean your investments, of course. So the thing to think about here is comparing where we were before, where this so-called disaster kicked in. And after Section 24, I'll do a comparison of that. And after Section 24 and interest rates as well. And the things that some people should be doing going forwards. Okay, so I'm just going to do the first two columns. This is before Section 24 and then after Section 24 and the increase in interest rates. Now, many people have left their rental income at £5,000 per year. Now, I'm not going to go to monthly and return investment necessarily. I'm just going to give you some of the analysis that I've done of my clients, which I want to share with you. So rental increases not really happened so much between my clients and their tenants. Mortgage interest, we have seen mortgage interest increase in rates from 2% to 4.5%, if not more. So the fact that you've got this £5,000 worth of rental income, but you've got £2,000 worth of mortgage interest cost before Section 24 and the hike of interest rates. Now you've got greater interest rates to suffer. And straight away, what you should be seeing here is that you've got other costs of 2,000, meaning that many landlords, without even looking at Section 24, with the increase of buy-to-let mortgage interest rates, means that a lot of people are making a loss on their property investment portfolios. So before Section 24, this example shows 20% profit, which is actually a very good profit. Now, this is not to be mixed up with return on investment. That's, again, something to worry about another day. But after Section 24 and interest rates hikes, some people are making a loss when they made a profit before. Now, what I would say to you is the more savvy investors that we're seeing, and I'm going to give you some examples of this actually happening, is rentals have gone up. Now, rents have gone up quite a lot, and I'm going to give you proof. I know some people will come on this saying, buy-to-let is dead and you can't convince me otherwise. And that's fine. You should stop watching anyway, right? Because I can't change your mind. Your opinion's made up. That's fine. Enjoy your day. For those that really want to see how they can make money from property, then listen up. See what I'm going to show you as proof, not just my opinion, but proof of what's going on. So rental people that have increased their rents to take into account Section 284 and mortgage interest are going to survive. Okay, now there's a bigger factor here. There's a lot of people that are deciding, well, hey, I'm paying 4.5%, if not more, maybe 5, maybe 6% interest to the banks. But I can't even make that as a return on investment. So what I'll do instead is I will sell some stocks, sell some shares, relinquish some of my savings where I get 0.5% interest on my savings. And you know what? I'm going to pay off my buy-to-let mortgages. I'm not going to have any interest at all. I don't get the interest relief because of Section 24. So why have this loan at all? It's the noose around my neck. Let's get rid of it. So again, a lot of investors, the more savvy ones, are paying off their mortgages. You might say, well, that's counterproductive because we can't do leveraging and we can't do the buy, refurb, refinance, rent out, BRRR strategy anymore. No, you're right, you can't. Those days have gone. And now, if you carry on acting like a dinosaur, your investments will die. And that's the end of it. If you want to make money in property, you have to change with the changing times. You cannot act the way you did before. So paying off mortgage interest may actually be a better thing, because if you're paying 6% in mortgage interest costs and you have all these other investments that are making you less than that, then why have them? You may as well just pay off your debt. And the adage is always, when interest rates are low, you take out debt and you leverage. When interest rates are high, then that's when you just kind of be the bank yourself and pay back your debts. And then just go into this period of time of being cash rich and, not having any debts. Other costs may be the same, 2,000. I'm not going to go on to that too much, but here we can see now we've got 4,250 in terms of the profit, and we've got 68% profit percentage. Now, again, percentages can be misleading, but I want to show you what this is all about. Let's go into some things extra now. So now we're talking about before Section 24 mortgage interest relief cap, and after Section 24 with the height interest rates. So this situation you've got is profit from the previous page, £1,000 before Section 24. Now, because of interest rates going up, you're actually making a loss of 1,500. It gets much worse. And this is the thing I want to highlight, is the tax position on the 1,000 as a high rate taxpayer. And I'm just focusing on a high rate taxpayer. You would have a £400 tax bill. So 40% of 1,000, £400. Now, Section 24 means that it ignores mortgage interest, and you have to do some weird calculations. But even in this regard, you've got a profit of minus. So you're not even making profit, you're making a loss of 1,500, but you still have tax to pay. That's outrageous. But that's the way that Section 24 is calculated. So in this position, you've got net cash position of £600, which is now down to 12% profit, not to be mixed up with return investment again, please. But after Section 24 and the height interest rates, then you've got a position of a minus 1,800. You're worse off in the same example by £2,400, which is significant to say the least. But again, let's have a look at more of a savvy investor. And after Section 24 and buy-to-let mortgage interest rates, we had a profit from the previous page of 4,250. And yes, the tax bill is high, it's 1,700, but they've got more profit. The net cash position is 2,550, which is actually 41% of the rent. So in this situation, they are still making more money. They're not paying as much out to the banks. And yes, they're paying more tax, but you know what? So what? If you're making more money, pay more tax. But actually, from an efficiency perspective, this is the right approach to take. Increase your rents, pay down your mortgages, and make more cash money. Looking at return on investment in terms of this, it'd be interesting. I'm not going to do that because I want to just focus on pure cash, what you're getting back from your investment. Not return on investment necessarily. That would be difficult to do because you've got different types of properties in terms of values, where they're situated, etc. So I just want to go through someone's tax return and give you some diagnostics of the type of things that we're advising our clients to do. And people will say straight away, well, you can't put up rents. Well, that's total tosh. Rightmove have produced this nice rental price tracker, which you can go online and look for it yourself. And basically, you can look at the rents in Scotland, £1,000, North East, £900, Yorkshire, Humber, of £1,000 again per month. And these are average rents. These are really high, if I'm honest, in terms of rents. But what's really interesting, the annual percentage increases is significant. So if you're not putting up your rents, you're missing out on a trick. Feel free to pause the video. The further south you go, you are certainly going to get less return on investment, I would say. And the rents increase percentages may not be as high, but absolute cash terms, a property increasing by 1% in London, for instance, versus 5% in Scotland, you're still going to get more cash in London. It's just because your starting point is a higher position. But nevertheless, what you should be doing is seeing which areas you should be investing your money in property. Again, the dinosaur approach of investing just in your local town, your local city, your local county, that's a dinosaur approach, and that is definitely something that's dead. And it's not something that I would recommend anyone doing. You need to look further afield. Manchester, Liverpool, Scotland are all areas which could be interesting. Northern Ireland, in fact, if you look at some of my other videos, I talk about investing in that area. What you can't do is invest in your local area just because you know the area. You have to be a bit more explorative. You need to be more curious and do some investigation work. Other side of things, renting out your property rather than to tenants is just giving it to local authorities. So Milton Keynes is giving some cash back, sort of giving your property over to them for a period of time. Enfield doing the same. And there's other local authorities that are doing the same thing. So again, if you've got property, is your local authority doing these long leases where you can hand it over to them? That could be an interesting one, especially when they give you cash up front from your property, in addition to the monthly rent. So interesting. Act differently on your investments or your investments will die. Be the bank, sell your assets to pay off debts. Now I know straight away many of you will be saying, but I've got capital gains tax. Well, some of you will have capital gains tax, some of you won't. Equally, there are ways to minimize capital gains tax issues. And will capital gains tax be more of an issue than Section 24? Only you will know that by speaking to your accountant, really. So it's something that you definitely need to do. Increase rents if you're not doing that. It's a dinosaur approach. You have to increase your rent no matter how nice your tenant is. They're getting more money in according to the wage inflationary numbers. So they can afford to pay you more. Even though the cost of living is higher, we're all in the same boat. They also have to put more money. Look at your portfolio as a whole. If you're not doing that already, missed opportunity and probably missing out on the financial nuggets that I'm talking about today. And if you need some advice, make sure you get some tax advice using that QR code showing on your screen. Make more money than ever before. So a couple of things we talked about. Local authority guaranteed rents. Commercial property investing. If you're thinking, well, residential property is not for me, maybe look at commercial property again in your area, which is different to what I've just said. But you might find some opportunities. You may find more opportunities looking UK-wide in terms of commercial property. Where are the governments expanding and need commercial property? Invest overseas. It's not just the UK. I did say about not just your local area of investing. Maybe now isn't a time to look at overseas property. I mean, Spain, there are great opportunities in Marbella, Spain, rather than just looking purely in London, the UK, for instance. So really, it's about opening up your horizons, thinking very differently compared to the dinosaurs that will die out with their investments. You can't do that. People need holiday accommodation. People need rental accommodation. It's not going to go away. There is a demand there for sure. So you just need to act differently to make as much money, if not more money, than you ever did before.